turn my mourning into dancing. You turn my mourning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love. Something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. You turn my mourning into dancing. 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 Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything.
Good morning, Rooted Men. Pastor Tom, Firmly Rooted Ministries. Good to have you on board. We are going to be looking at Genesis chapter 19. And let me see who is on board here. Brian Vlaming. Good morning, men. Chuck B. Shalom, gentlemen. Let's see. I'm out there on X. Ken Gooch. Good morning. Fellow brothers in arms. Bert Reggiani. Good morning. Shane. Good morning, gentlemen. And Shane, I'm going to try to give you a call today. Being down in Greendale, my time was really thin. So thanks for your patience, but I'll reach out to you sometime today, I hope. Let's see. Anybody else? Well, there's more out there, but well, that's good. We'll leave it at that for now. So Friday, we were talking about the two angels, most likely a theophany, God becoming man and spending some time with Abraham, and the promise of a child. But more than that, a discussion about the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. And this is Abraham's opportunity to ask God some really deliberate questions, really intentional questions. And I love that section because it tells me that God doesn't mind. I've come to believe that God just wants us to be honest. If we're angry, frustrated, doubtful, fearful, He'll take us any way as long as we're honest. And Abraham is confused. He's wondering about God's sense of justice and the destruction of a town or a city. And remember that he gets whittling it down, right? What about if it's 40? What about if it's 30? What about if it's 20? What about if it's 10? And God's saying that even if I found 10 righteous people, I wouldn't destroy the city. So we're already peering into God's heart. If I only found 10, I wouldn't do it. But I will do is I will rescue. I will divinely rescue. I'll send angels in to rescue Lot and his wife and family and get them out of there. So God is even seeking out the innocent and getting them out of there before the destruction takes place. And today we find ourselves in chapter 19, beginning at verse 1. The two angels arrived at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. The gateway is where the men hung out, kind of made decisions. The prominent men would solve issues, solve problems, and those kinds of things. Any kind of disruptions that might be taking place. It was kind of like city council. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. He knows they're no ordinary men. My lords, he said, please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet, spend the night, and then go on your way early in the morning. No, they answered, we will spend the night in the square, which would be common for people who are traveling. But he insisted so strongly that they did go with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. And before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them. You got to wonder why Lot ultimately moved to Sodom. We know that he chose the valley. We know that he chose that area. But now he's living in this very city, this very corrupt city, demonic city. Notice the sexual perversion. These men want Lot to send out the men, the guests, so that they could have their way with them. It's not about love. It's not about intimacy. It's simply animalistic. It's amazing what Satan does to that which God created to be beautiful and right. And we got to wonder in a society like we live in today, where we're trying to give permission to just about everything. Might we be getting close to Sodom and Gomorrah? We live in a society where there are children, pedophilia rings, child pornography. I won't go on. You know as well as I do. And I think there's something inside of each one of us that kind of just says, well, I guess it's just kind of normal. It's the way things are. Well, not to God. They're not normal at all and ought not to be allowed by Christians. Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, no, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you and you can do what you'd like to them. Now, I'm not going to get into that one, but it is sickening. It is. I mean, Lot knows it's inevitable. Why would he offer up his 2 daughters? They are so demonically induced, they're not going to stop. They got to have some flesh. They've got to have some destruction. They got to hurt. They got to create pain. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof. Get out of our way, they replied. This fellow came here as a foreigner. Right now they're talking about Lot. And now he wants to play the judge? We'll treat you worse than them. They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward to break down the door. But the men inside reached out, pulled Lot back into the house, and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness, so they could not find the door. The angels did what only the angels could do. Supernatural works. The two men said to Lot, do you have anyone else here, son-in-laws, sons or daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The angels are going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. The outcry to the Lord against its people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it. The outcry, the innocent, the suffering, the outcry to God is so great that he now is going to stop it. He allows things to go so far, and then eventually he steps in. How depraved are we? How depraved are our sinful natures? And we want to play with them? We want to dance with them? So Lot went out and spoke to his son-in-laws who were pledged to marry his daughters. Hurry, get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city. But his son-in-laws thought he was joking. With the coming dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, hurry, take your wife and your daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city's punished. When he hesitated, listen, Lot's hesitating. Who in the world would be hesitating at this time? Like, what is he holding on to? The men grasped his hands and his wife's hands and the daughters and led them safely out of the city, for the Lord was merciful to them. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, flee for your lives. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains or you will be swept away, right? Stay focused. Go this direction. Don't look back. Let's go. We got to get out of here. But Lot said to them, no, my Lord, please, your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life, but I can't flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me and I'll die. Look, here is a town near enough to run to, and it is small, probably where he should have been living in the first place. Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared. He said to him, very well, I will grant this request. I will not overthrow the town that you're speaking of, but flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach it. That is why the town was called Zoar, meaning small. And we'll stop there at verse 22, and I think Steve will pick up at 23. So let me pull myself out of there, pull this out of there. Gentlemen, the startling, it's not the right word. The deafening sound of the corruption that takes place in the human soul and jointly in humanity when they can rally around evil, when Satan can get them dancing and moving to his drumbeat. It's unstoppable. I mean, it is stoppable by God, but it is ravishing. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And somehow Lot, although he knows it's evil, I don't know, there's this thing. He doesn't want to leave. Maybe it's the city life. Maybe he doesn't want to be out in the country. I'm not sure what it is. He certainly moved towards a city rather than stay out in the country and take care of his animals. And then you have God, who finally is patient enough in the lack of repentance. He'll move. He'll move in judgment, and he'll move to destroy those who are wicked so that the innocent can be protected. One of the responsibilities of the church is to protect the innocent, to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. The church can't be silent about what's going on in society. The church needs to be active in protecting the broken, the hurting, the marginalized, the abused. I think there's going to be an awakening someday in the United States for the things that we've allowed to happen around us, and feel like it's okay as long as it doesn't happen in my neighborhood, or it doesn't happen in my city or my town, or maybe my house. It's a harsh devotion for Monday, but it's a reminder of why Jesus came. He's going to bear all this stuff. You realize that? He's going to take it upon himself. Who does that? A God who loves us and wants to set us free. Let the enemy be damned. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. All right, I'll leave it at that. I hope that this devotion was a blessing to you. Have a great day. Make it a firmly rooted day, and may someone see Jesus in us today. Peace.